The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Welcome, everyone, to Wrestling to the Max's 205 live review show for November 21st, 2017. And we are brought to you by W2Mnet.com. That's right, the place where you'll find all your great wrestling needs and a lot more. And hey, make sure you go hit that subscribe button over at Wrestling to the Max. Don't forget to go also rate and review. And once you do that, you'll get all these great review shows. Also, the W2M Network is another great place. You can do the same. When you hit that subscribe button over there, you'll not only get these reviews, a lot of other great podcasts from W2Mnet.com when it comes to wrestling. Hey, you'll even get sports like football and soccer, and you'll also entertainment too. So trust me, a wide array of things to go check out over there. Big love and shout outs to 411mania.com and lastwordonprowrestling.com for their support. So thank you to them. And tonight I am not Harry Broadhurst. I am Gary Vaughan, and hope that's okay with everyone. But I am here to cover for him because he is sick, sadly. But your normal co-host is here, Liz Pugliese.
Hello again.
Hey, and once again, you have to deal with me here, Liz. I'm sorry about that. But
it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, Harry's okay. I feel bad for the guy. It's not fun being sick around the holidays. But but I'm enjoying. We've had a lot of fun. This is the second time. In the night, we've actually got a chance to talk wrestling, but second time I've covered for Harry, and we've got to do shows together. So I think we're doing okay, though.
I think so. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's fun. So just to let everybody also know, make sure you come and check out all the other great stuff that we have to offer because, Harry doesn't just do this show with Liz. He also does Wrestling Unwrapped and things like that. So make sure you go and find him and give him some love and tell him you missed him because, you had to deal with Gary again. But here we are on this Thanksgiving Day episode of 205 Live. At least that's the way it felt, Liz. I mean, it felt like it was already Thanksgiving, the way they portrayed everything. I mean, you even had the food there, and you had Enzo, and you had the Zoe train all hanging out, talking about being thankful. Of course, it all revolved around being thankful for Enzo Amore. That's the way it always goes. But hey, that's the way he likes to ride. And you got guys like Noam Dar, Davari, and you have Drew Gulak, and just all these guys, getting company, and Tony Nese just having a good time with the Zoe train. But what we find out here, and what's the most important thing, is we have Enzo kind of talking about how last night there were 4 other guys on the other side of the ring that basically challenged him and beat him last night. And tonight's a new night, and they are going to take care of business. And Enzo told them all, he did them a favor. He got them all matches against those 4 guys, which the 4 guys we are talking about, of course, is Mustafa Ali. We're talking about Rich Swann. We're talking about Cedric Alexander. And we're also talking about Tozawa. And this is, basically presented as a favor to those guys, as I guess you would say, holiday treat. But Enzo also threw him a little bit of a carrot out there on a string and said, hey, if you win and you do a good job, I'll put in a good word for you over there for the Cruiserweight title. So this all just kind of sets up the night, and it also kind of gives you an idea of where the Zoe train is going and how he's motivating his guys, What did you think about this opening segment?
It was probably one of the better holiday food table segments. As soon as I started, I was like, oh great, I knew something was missing. We're going to get our traditional holiday food fight on 205 for a change. But thankfully, unless I missed it, we didn't get that far. I actually enjoyed seeing the gobbledygooker there show up. I mean, it set it up. It was funny. It was in a sense, a little lighthearted. it worked. It worked for what it was.
Yeah, you're right, and it is kind of funny. I love Drew Gulak being in the turkey outfit. That was hilarious.
I love it so much.
I just love also Gulak. How are you doing? The whitest guy ever, I swear.
It's fabulous. As somebody who's from New York, I appreciate that so much.
I know, right? It's so funny, man. But you're right. No food fight, but we did get that a wide array of food and all that. So, they didn't go traditional WB, but that's good sometimes. We'll start the night out. Go ahead.
No, I was saying definitely because those food fights need to be a thing of the past. They're so overdone.
Yeah. Too much so. But yeah, I mean, we start out the night with a match between Drew Gulak and Akira Tozawa, and this is a street fight, and we have Gulak coming out and just kind of doing his shtick like normal, and kind of talking about himself and what's going to be happening, and kind of talking about the street fight, and kind of really alludes to that there will be a new PowerPoint, and as he's about to introduce the PowerPoint, Akira Tozawa interrupts him. How rude. I'm just got to say that, right? That's my best Stephanie Tanner impression. How rude. I know, sorry guys, back in the 90s, sorry, bad reference. But, here we are, and this match actually ends up being pretty okay. I'll say for a street fight, to me, it was a little tame. I don't know about you, Liz, but this was one that I was kind of thinking to myself, okay, yeah, they kind of battled that, but it wasn't all that strong when it came to all the weapons. I mean, the biggest part here was Akira Tozawa putting the trash can over the top of Drew Gulak's head, beating it to death with a Singapore cane, and then hitting his big finisher to take out Drew Gulak. I thought it was okay, and it was a decent match. I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was something that I was like, normally when I hear street match, like, yeah, okay, whatever. I think it's very rare when they get it right. And this one, it definitely fell short. I think the two of them could have a lot of potential in a match like that. Was it a time constraint? They only have an hour, or was it they wanted to keep it contained into the ring? They did what they did. But yeah, no, I agree with you. It was just, I don't want to say it fell a little flat, but it was just a little off. I think it could have been more, but with the time they had, I guess they did what they could do.
Yeah, you're right. And that's the kind of the situation you deal with at this point of, 205 is they are constricted by time and by a few other things they're trying to get done in the show. So sometimes they can't go over the top like they can on the other brands. I get that, and that makes sense to me. And not only that, they are trying to fit all these matches in and do also a few other things. Of course, all their commercial breaks, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, I mean, you have Tozawa winning, which kind of sets a precedent for what's going on with the Zo train. You have Enzo Amore not very happy about this, and you got Tony Nese eating and having a merry old time, but Enzo is not happy now. He basically warns and chastises, Tony Nese and the other guys that, hey, you need to get serious here. You need to understand this is about my reputation. You need to go take it serious. And you also have the four guys I mentioned earlier coming to kind of make fun of Enzo and the rest of the Zo train. You have, guys like Cedric Alexander and Swann poking fun, making jokes. You got Mustafa Ali chiming in here. So they're trying to get their shots in on those guys and basically preparing themselves for the matches later on in the show. And I love the fact that they called the Enzo train the turkeys. That was kind of funny. I like that too. So there's a few things here that was interesting. What did you think about that little segment?
I enjoyed it because I think some of them, sometimes really don't get to show much of a personality, if any. And I think tonight they were able to, either, very quickly, or whatnot. But I found it entertaining. And I'd like to be some of them. You'd like to be to see them be able to, talk on their own a little bit more. show some of their actual, personality.
You're right about that, and I'm not saying it's begrudging because I think that Enzo is fine. I think his little role here on this, 205 Live really does kind of help the rest of these guys because he can be the focal point, but yet let them use their voice around him. And that's exactly what's happening here, right? They're making fun of him, so they're showing personality by making fun of him, which, it gives us something other than just being flat and just being hey, I'm just a wrestler, So I think you're right on that. And it's kind of good, and this is the exact proof of that. I really like what they did here. So no argument from me on all that you just said. But yeah, I mean, that sets up some other matches that will take place in this show. So we move on and we talk about what's something kind of interesting. We got Tony Nese here, and which once again, I mean, I have to let people know I'm a big fan of Tony Nese. I think a lot of the guy. I know a lot of people don't really care, but I really like what he does. So he takes on Mustafa Ali in a match, and these guys actually put on a really solid match. I don't think I really have anything bad to say about it, but you do have Tony Nese getting the victory, and he wins this one. But I mean, what did you think overall about this one?
I enjoyed it. I liked seeing Nese win. I think he ends up getting the short end of the stick. But I don't think, as you said, I don't think a lot of people have taken to him for whatever reason. I kind of like, what he has going on. Almost like what I call like a gym jerk, for lack of a better term, with his, 19 abs, whatever it is. And, that whole, just his whole way. I think he's definitely somebody that has personality, that if they let him, let it come out, he'd, really get over a lot better. I enjoyed the match. I thought it was a decent match.
Mustafa Ali is super talented. A guy that, oh my God, he just has so much to offer when it comes to athleticism and just being an overall great wrestler. So these two guys in the ring together, I am never going to complain. I don't think that they, gave you any less than you needed here. I was really happy with the performance. It didn't need to be a pay-per-view performance to be good. So I'm really thrilled that they had the matchup here. So this makes Enzo Amore very happy that Tony's won, and so that moves along what we had here with Enzo. But that also brings us to the fact that we do have Enzo. He's going to be out ringside, and he's going to come check out the main event here between Rich Swann, Cedric Alexander, Noam Dar, and Davari. And we get one that is pretty good too. I'll say it was pretty solid for the most part. I don't know if it was anything super great to write home about, but you do have a pretty interesting matchup here. You do get Rich Swann and Cedric Alexander getting the victory, but in the end, the Zo Train attacks them and basically wipes them out. You may have Mustafa Ali come out and try to save the day and Tozawa, but they just can't overcome what the Zo Train has to offer. So in the end, it's Enzo Amore and his guys on the Zo Train, standing tall. So what did you think about that whole thing, everything that went down here?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I liked it. I mean, I think the Zo Train there needed to be dominant in tonight. If going forward they really want people to take them serious, they can't just have it, too much as comedy, as okay, these people are humoring Enzo because of all the benefits they get from it, which is basically how I see why they're with him, and I think it's what they've gone for. So I mean, they have to balance it out, and I think tonight did a pretty decent, effort with that. They had their comedy bits. They had Enzo being Enzo, but even though they lost at the end, they still, destroyed them. So, it put them over like, okay, we are a force to be reckoned with. So I think that, that furthers it along and was a necessary step for them to take.
Yeah, it really is. And I find it very interesting on this show that they really focused on Enzo Amore and the Zo Train. It was this entire episode about them. It really, Sure, it had 4 other guys that were not a part of the Zo train, but those guys were not as dominant in this show. It was all about what was going on with Enzo and what he thought about these guys and how he was using them and everything that transpired. So I think that's an interesting thing because, for an entire episode to be geared towards those guys, it means there's a lot of other guys that didn't get involved in this show, and which is fine. I mean, hey, it ended up working out okay, right? I mean, not a bad show overall. I think that we go ahead.
So I had this. I'm probably wrong because I usually am. I had the thought during it that for me, it almost. Obviously, Enzo's not going to be the champ forever. He shouldn't be. There's many, many, many talented guys on 205. But for me, I almost got the sense that they're going to start transitioning him into being, the leader of some faction. Not as the champion, but almost in a, manager type of way. They showcased Enzo, using different means to motivate his guys, a title, hinting at a title shot, money and jewelry, whatever, all these perks, which I think can, once he drops, the title, still be used, to make him a pretty decent leader of a group and keep him relevant.
I'm not going to argue with you on that because if that is going to be what takes place with him, I'm completely happy. I really don't need to see Enzo wrestle. I just really don't. He does what he does, but I'm just not overly impressed with it. And if he does what you're saying here and takes more of that leadership role of a faction or as a manager, that works perfect. His mouth is the best thing that he has to offer WWE. That's
absolutely
the breadwinner. So. It's also kind of funny, and I wanted to ask you this question, being a New Yorker and, having that, understanding of some of the way he does things. And I'm sure people kind of like Enzo.
Yeah.
Do you think they're being over the top with, Enzo Amore? Do you think it's a little over the top, or do you think he fits right in and it works?
When Harry hears this, he's going to laugh because I think almost, every week that I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Like I said during the SmackDown taping, I don't really watch NXT that much. So, and there was a period of time where, I try to follow it and I try to keep up on it and whatnot, but there was a period of time where I just really didn't have the time, as horrible as this to say. So when they first debuted on Raw and I heard the music, I was in a chat for a different group and I was like, what the heck is this? And I instantly hated it. Being a lifelong New Yorker, being an Italian American who has every stereotype, thrown at them. It is over the top, but then again, it really isn't because there are people like that, and they know it. I mean, what was the show with Snooki, and whatever?
Oh, Jersey Shore. Yeah,
Jersey Shore. So you do have people like that. Unfortunately, I mean, they've made it very comical, and whatnot. But if I never, ever hear him say "How you doing" again, I will be a very, very happy person. I don't mind Enzo. I like everybody. I get a kick out of him. I think he's, really good on the mic. He's entertaining. I do kind of think they're starting to maybe transition him into some other type of role, almost in a sense of a Bobby Heenan type of thing, where he was like this, great manager who used different means to really motivate the guys and get them what they want, whatever. And, not that he gave Bobby the brain, but that type of thing. I hate it. I've always hated it. It grated on my nerves, the whole soft thing. You're probably sorry you asked, but I don't like it at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sorry at all I asked. That's the kind of info I wanted because, I am from Texas and talk like I'm a Texan and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. And, that's, and I always hear different TV shows and movies and even wrestling that comes out and there's a Texan portrayed and they've got to have big boots and a hat.
JBL, his hat, the blackjacks, that whole, everybody's riding a horse and has a big ranch, and all that. Yeah, it's exactly. The stereotype.
Hey, which if I had a big ranch, I'd be glad. You can call me whatever you want.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean that's what's interesting. Stereotypes. That's wrestling kind of is built on a lot of gimmicks that are stereotypes of certain groups. I mean, that's kind of what makes up the better part of sometimes in wrestling. So just really curious.
Yeah, it's this. I guess the whole. I can't even use the word because it would make no sense because it's Italian American slang. But the whole persona he has going on has always been something that makes my eyes roll. So,
well, what is the slang? Go ahead and what is the slang?
It's like a guinea or a wop. It's like really derogatory. Okay. Yeah, it's like really derogatory to be honest.
Yeah, no. People, yeah. She's Italian.
Yeah. So, or even like and there's others. I won't. I'll tell you off air. Yeah.
We won't get too far. You can only use your stereotypes. So, sorry, I'm usually the one who's in trouble. I don't want to get you in trouble. That's me. Just Sean, our producer, has wrote me in a lot of times.
Harry thought I cursed last week, and he was like freaking out. He's like, "Did you just curse?" He's like, "Oh, it's your accent." I'm like, "Sorry."
No, trust me. There's no problem with it. I mean, Paul has that problem a lot of times, so don't worry about it on your end. It'll be okay. But yeah, I mean, you're right about Enzo Amore. I'm really kind of curious how this is going to shake out. If he's more on the vocal side rather than being in the ring action side, I am all game for it. I want to see more of it. I'm really digging the persona because of what he can offer in that route. It may be a little stereotypical. It may not be something you care for, but I definitely understand where you're coming from on that, being someone who is a New Yorker, who is Italian American. And, I'm sure there's other people in your kind of circumstances that may not like the way they treat Jinder Mahal and people like that because of, it's racial stereotypes and all that. So.
Oh, yeah, no. And for me, it's not any, racial, stereotype. It's not even that it's a racial stereotype. It's entertainment. It's TV. They're gonna go there. It's when they make it so goofy of a stereotype. That's where it grates on my nerves. I mean, and they need it in any stereotype. They can do it with any ethnic backgrounds, and I get them doing it to an extent with any. I don't just dislike it because it's Italian American. If they made any ethnic stereotype like super super goofy, I'd be saying the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be be really bad news to see Big E come out with grape juice or something like that. Kool-Aid. So it would be a bad situation. So people would hear about it. But anyway. Oh, yeah. Before we get in too much trouble, I better change the mode here. And this is 205 Live. That's the show. We kind of rounded out everything. Not a super long show. I don't know how long you and Harry usually go to these, but these are pretty quick. These don't really take a long time to get through.
These are pretty quick unless Harry gets off on some tangent.
Yeah, like I just did. I pulled a Harry on you. So, but no, I mean seriously, this has been a lot of fun. Just to make sure, do you and Harry actually rate 205 Live? I can't remember.
We do actually.
All right, what are you going to rate this one?
I'm going to give it. I mean, I liked it. Overall, I honestly wish there was more Drew as the gobbledygooker because I loved that and I love Drew. And simply for the fact that it actually took me a couple of seconds to realize the show ended. I don't know why. It ended and they were dominant. I was just expecting something else. And to be perfectly honest, I was watching all the commercials and I was like, okay, why isn't it going back? And then I realized, oh, it ended. So just for the fact that it ended up leaving me wanting something a little bit more or feeling like I missed something, I'm going to give it a 6.5.
That is a fair rating. And, it's kind of funny. Me and you are on the same wavelength because I thought the exact same thing, to be honest with you. I had to look at my clock. I had to look at the clock and, it's now 10 o'clock over here on the Central Time. So, yes, that means that guess what? It's actually over. Yes, I mean, it's kind of shocking.
Yeah, I was like, okay, they're really showing a lot of this Kevin Owens thing, like, right now. I'm like, and I actually paused it and, like, rewound it a bit. And I was like, oh, okay. It's over.
Yeah, so, I mean... it's not a bad way to end it, but it kind of like you said, just kind of a sudden stop.
Yeah, just threw me off a little bit. Wait.
Yeah. So I think I'll go with 6. I think it was a fairly well done show. Nothing over the top. I don't think any of these matches really just blew you away or anything like that. And
no, agreed.
You kind of had the same storyline with the segments and all that. They kind of all blend together, so I can't give it too much of a big rating because of that reason. But it's still a solid 205 Live. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. If you haven't watched it yet and you're listening to us talk about it, just go check it out. It's not a bad episode.
Definitely. That was a good show.
So, well, everyone, hey, make sure you go check out W2Mnet.com. That's the place you go find all your great wrestling needs and a lot more. I want to make sure you give a chance to subscribe, rate, and review over there at Wrestling to the Max or the W2M Network. Both are great. And some big love to the FormulaOneMania.com and Last One on ProWrestling.com. Thanks for all that they do for us. And we hope all of you have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy it. Have fun with your family and your friends. We are going to try to do the best to do the same with us. Hopefully no brawls break out in your living room. And make sure that if you do use a table, it doesn't have food on it to put someone through it. And make sure you use the chairs to sit on instead of using it to crush someone's head. So we appreciate you, and we have a lot of fun here. So make sure you check out NXT when we do that review show later this week. And that's going to be a really fun one because Paul has kind of told me earlier in the week it's going to be a blast. So looking forward to that, and come check out all the other great shows on the network. Trust me, lots of cool stuff. If you're going to be taking a long trip with your friends or family to go wherever your destination is, that's why you hit that subscribe button so you can listen to all the shows on your way, and you're going to have a blast doing it. So there you go, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. I appreciate it. So for myself and for Liz Pugliese, I'll catch you guys down the road.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.